All right, I've talked a lot about the April 8th total solar eclipse that goes across America. And you can see that on the diagram here. April 8th, 2024 goes across America, but you can see the pattern when you add the August 21st, 2017 Great American Eclipse and the October 14th, 2023 annular solar eclipse that crossed America. First of all, one thing we have to understand, it's a rare event for a solar eclipse. Not only that, but a total solar eclipse to cross America. It is not a common event. Now, the interesting thing about these three eclipses is that when you put them together like this, and you see the patterns that they're going, they make an Aleph, which is in Paleo Hebrew the first letter of the alphabet. Just like our A comes from this, you can see the A, the Aleph. Now, if you subtract one of the eclipses from the April 8th eclipse and just use one at a time, it makes a Taw. And you can see on the top right, you have the Aleph, but the Taw is next to the Aleph on the left, and it's an X. I keep saying this eclipse makes an X across America. With the other eclipses, well, that's a Taw, which in Paleo Hebrew, again, is the last letter of the alphabet. So you have the first letter, the Aleph, and the last letter, the Taw, the first and the last. Revelation 22, verse 13, God says, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. So right there in itself, this is definitely a major, major sign. And like I've said, the places that these eclipses cross over, more specifically the April 8th total solar eclipse here in a couple months, it goes through a bunch of towns called Nineveh. And if you know the story of Jonah and the whale, Jonah was spit out by the whale, and he went and had to preach to the heathens in Nineveh to repent for 40 days, or that God was going to destroy them. So this is very similar. We could call this the sign of Jonah, because Jesus said, you'll have no sign except for the sign of Jonah. And this crosses like 7 or 8 towns called Nineveh. And it crosses other towns too, but it makes an X in the middle of the Taw at Little Egypt. Just like when they were led out of captivity from Pharaoh, from Egypt. And we know that America is a type and shadow of Egypt, along with Babylon and Sodom and Gomorrah, all of them wrapped in one. So this is amazing to me. This is a very interesting sign in the heavens. We know that the sun, the moon, and the stars are there for signs, seasons, days, and years. Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 17. This is definitely a sign, to say the least. We have, I believe, some major events and changes possibly coming in the near future, as I've said before. But I took a snapshot of this from somebody's account because it was a very well drawn out map, I guess you could say, of the eclipses and the patterns that they make and how they are from the Paleo Hebrew, which is the true Hebrew. The Hebrew that we read these days is just about 120 years old. Paleo Hebrew is the true ancient Hebrew that they would have written on. And in Paleo Hebrew, these three eclipses, which are rare, make an A or an Aleph, which is the first letter of the alphabet. And if you use them one at a time, they make the Ta, which is the last letter of the alphabet, the X. Now, another interesting thing is that the Ta in modern Hebrew, if you look at the top right here, under the X, the sign for the Ta in modern Hebrew is a door. So not only are these signs saying the beginning and the end, or the first and the last, but if you change the Ta to the new Ta, it's a door. And Jesus said, I am the door. And in Revelation chapter 4, which 4 is door, it talks about a rapture in Revelations 4. It says that John heard God's voice as a trump, and a door opened in heaven, and he was caught up in the Spirit. Very interesting connections here, guys. Now, another interesting thing about this major sign in the heavens is that the majority of the world will have no idea and has no idea about this. Even if they were looking at the heavens, they wouldn't even know what they were looking at. Because you have to understand that Paleo-Hebrew is involved, and you have to understand that the sun, the moon, and the stars are there for signs from God, because the heavens declare the glory of God. And so this is amazing, because Jesus talks about in the last days that it would be as the days of Noah. They would be eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the flood takes them all away. And then there was Noah, who knew what was coming. He knew. And he was aware. And I bet you that the type of person that Noah was, he wasn't laughing and jumping and playing like a fool, like they want us to do, like monkeys, like the rest of the world. He was preparing the ark, and he was gathering his family, and he got on the ark, and it was God that shut the door. Now, this is amazing. Think about this. God shut the door on the ark, not Noah. God did. Well, what is the Ta in modern Hebrew? It's in the shape of a door. This is big, guys. This is massive. Like I said, in the next couple months, there's either going to be some major changes or major events. I'm telling you. So, thank you guys for listening. God bless.